too. I think the Browns so far, and this could change, but it's only June 11th. I think so far they're handling the Shedeur Sanders stuff the right way.
Yeah.
You agree?
Yeah,
I didn't think you'd have any big reason to disagree, but I think they're handling it the right way.
Where my disagreement was, I think they kind of set up both him and Dylan Gabriel up for failure by drafting them in the 3rd and 5th round.
Okay, but overall, you're thinking that. Yes.
Everything after that, and at least the guys are saying all the right things, right? And they're not doing anything, they're not leaking anything to the media that would make you presume this is going badly. The circus, really, I mean, there were no national media there yesterday. I do find that interesting when you got people saying this is the biggest story of the NFL offseason. I'm not really buying it. I'm not seeing at this time when we had Johnny Manziel, national media was here. There's none of that. Now, maybe if Shedeur would have gotten drafted 2nd overall, maybe it's different. I think for a lot of people, Shedeur in the 5th round is out of sight, out of mind.
Mitch had asked us that question in the text thread yesterday, and I think that's where it hits it, is that he's taken so low, is that you can't help but put him to start out 4th on the depth chart. You can't, unless they wouldn't have taken Dylan Gabriel, but because he's taken after Dylan, because he's taken day 3, if he were taking number 2 overall, I think that's a freight train, man. That is something that changes, and maybe he's thrust into the position a lot sooner than what he's ready to do. But it just seems to be he is the 2nd biggest story in the NFL. The biggest story in the NFL is Aaron Rodgers, and actually he's kind of going down the ladder now because of do you think that TJ Watt's a bigger story in his holdout?
I think it's a pretty big story.
Okay, do you think it's bigger than Shedeur Sanders? I would say
just
yes.
Right now.
As of right now.
Once the preseason games get going, if Shedeur is out there playing and balling, I guess if Shedeur is out there and looks terrible, both of those are kind of
one of those two
right?
ways. But like Trey Hendrickson sitting out, Shamar Stewart, who is a guy we were going to talk about last night because things are not good in Cincinnati. These are bigger stories in so many ways, because I think that you have one day where the first day that cameras were there, he's not throwing with the team. Then today, over the next couple of weeks, it gets to the point where Joe Flacco's not throwing in team drills, and it's Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders. So there's very little of us to really get worked up about and get emotional about. All the emotion, all the hot air has been done with the media. There has been very little that I can say that has pointed. I don't think there's anything that I can point to and say, hey, this is starting to get a little squirrely here. And it's good, because there has been times where it's been June and things have gotten a little squirrely with a couple of quarterbacks in the past. With this, I don't think it's that way.
Does it start to become a bigger story when a depth chart gets released, an official depth chart? Because that's when people are actually going to talk. And then the national media are definitely going to take note and say, whoa, really?
If he's listed 4th, then I think my argument becomes a true argument. And I think he's going to be listed at 4th, where I say he's already guaranteed to make the 53-man roster. And when you see him 4th on the depth chart, I think a lot of people are going to ask me if I'm sure about that. I think he'll be 4th on the depth chart to start things off. If he all of a sudden was 2nd on the depth chart, well, now you got yourself a big time conversation. But I think that he'll be 4th on the depth chart when we start things off. And people may be critical of that and say, well, the Browns, you drafted this guy, he's a star, whatever. They will use the Browns as a vehicle to try to get something going throughout the summer and throughout the early parts of training camp. Eventually, the helmet's got to really be strapped on. The pad's got to be strapped on. We're going to be going full tilt. And he's going to have to show that he can handle the offense, handle the players around him. And that's in any setting. Whether he be playing with the 3rd team or whether he be playing with the ones, you're going to have to show how you can handle an offense to be able to move up that way, to be able to diagnose a defense and handle yourself to be able to move up. That's what he's going to have to prove. So as of right now, there's definitely a lot of hot air on radio, in podcasts, on TV, all that stuff. But within the Browns, no, I don't think it's that way. You got 4 quarterbacks. They're all saying the right things so far. I haven't heard it. Deshaun Watson, the 5th quarterback, they're saying the right things about him. So there's really nothing you can get upset about other than you just want a juicier story than what our arguments are. Shedeur Sanders did talk to the media yesterday. He talked about that QB room. Here's what he says about everybody getting along.
It's real fun having those guys in the room, though, because we all, or quarterbacks, we all feel similar ways, but nobody always talks about it. So Joe's the old guy in the rooms. I joke with Joe all the time. Every day I see him. Kenny, he had his experiences throughout his career overall. So then we just share a lot of the same things. And Dylan, of course, we're the same age group. So we just talk about experiences just in college and everything.
I think that there's nothing that's kind of left unsaid with with the quarterback room right now. I think we all kind of know who they are. I know that there was questions before. You remember the Brian Hoyer, Johnny Manziel quarterback room where a lot of people wanted to make Brian what he wasn't. Including Johnny Manziel, wanted to make him what he wasn't, and that ended up being scapegoat for Johnny Manziel, which it really wasn't because you knew he was a clown show from the very. I should have known he was a clown show from the beginning, but he ended up being the clown show that a lot of people thought he was going to be, including you. So that's on Johnny Manziel. The Baker Mayfield one where there was Tyrod Taylor, and we argued about whether or not he was quality enough to start the season or whether or not they should have just put Baker Mayfield out there. And now with this one, hey, there's 4 of them that are really ready to play at the beginning of this season. So if you have 4 of these guys, there's going to be different dynamics. And so far, they kind of all know how to handle their business. Dylan Gabriel's been through 3 different programs in college, kind of knows what it's like to be a professional in so many ways. Kenny Pickett's already been a pro. Joe Flacco's been a pro for a long time. And Shedeur Sanders, there's been a world of pressure on him over these last 4 years, both at Jackson State, taking over quarterback for his dad, where a lot of people were wondering whether or not this guy could be a head coach. And then at Colorado, whether or not they could resurrect a program that was the worst in P5, then to be P4 college football. So they're already well-versed in the pressures that come with the media and quarterback competitions, quote unquote. I don't think the competition is there for Shedeur Sanders to start the season. I know that some people have said that. I think they're kind of filling time. I feel that you don't feel the same. I feel that you feel the same way about me when it comes to Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel. Like, no, they're not competing for day one starter. They're competing to make the active roster, but I think both are safe. I think the other 2, there's either a day one starter out of the other 2, which this is going to muddy the water. You have a day one starter either between Kenny Pickett or Joe Flacco, and the other one is cut or traded.
Well, how many examples are there where somebody gets drafted? Now, normally, again, 5th-round picks are never in play to start at the beginning of the year.
Unless something terrible happens during training camp.
Yes, and everything will be compared to the Brock Purdy situation. Now it's the most recent, and he's been to a Super Bowl. So, there you can't ever say, hey, this can't happen. Like, clearly, guys can move up. And we already know, like, again, I'll be surprised if Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett are here. If they're both here by week 1, that will surprise me. But if they're both here by week 7, that will really surprise me. It always seemed like one of them was going to get jettisoned if there was an emergency situation elsewhere or whatever. But this has to seem like a gargantuan effort for both Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur. They've got to be showing up to work every day just thinking, man, what do I have to do to pass up not one of these guys, not 2 of these guys, but the room?
Yes.
And most rookies don't have. Think of Bo Nix last year. Bo Nix last year, who ended up going where in the draft? Was he
middle, late first?
12th or whatever? Like, Bo Nix got a chance to start pretty quickly. Like, did Shedeur or Dylan Gabriel honestly think they've got a shot to start immediately?
No, I don't think either one does. By the way, he was 12th overall. I think you just said that. So you were right about that right off the top of your head. I mean, we've argued about Sean Payton and Bo Nix so much. I'm not surprised. I think that every player, if you've noticed in the open media sessions when there's not been 3, every quarterback has had a chance to kind of show in front of the cameras. And we make our own conclusions. We're going to draw our own conclusions because that's part of the fun of talking about football and about talking about the starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. But I think that in that essence, they've showed everybody a chance to. They've given everybody a chance to show their wares. They've given everybody a chance to see what they have, and I think that they've handled this so far as of June 11th the right way. That can change week by week.